Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, Giants fam? Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. I'm Mike, that's Jules, that's John. Another disaster this week, but before we get into the shit show, guys, how was your weekend? Like, give me something besides the Giant game. I want to see, like, did you guys have a actually good weekend?
You know what? I think you nailed it. You were like, yo, shit show.
Yeah.
That pretty much sums it up from one end, from Friday to Sunday. Like, it was a shit show for me.
You had a shit show for fucking 3 days?
Oh, man, dude. Like, well, you know what it was? I had gotten like the cabin fever for whatever odd reason. And I just decided I needed to go out on Friday just for a little bit. Yeah. So I went over to Bay Ridge, just hanging out. And by the way, it was the first time that I actually got stopped walking into a bar by the host, asked me for like that card to make sure I have my vaccine shot. Yeah. So that kind of blew my mind. At first, I was like, I kind of knew, and I was like, it was loud. And I was like, I'm going to the bar. I don't need a seat. And she's like, no. I need to see your vaccination, sir. And I'm like, oh, all right. You're like the first person to ask me that. All right, cool.
Is this,
I basically went over and I had like an email on my phone because I literally just gotten the second one done the day before. So I took a look and had the numbers match my name, my license, whatever. She's like, all right, cool. Thank you. That was it. I kept the moving.
Is this a Brooklyn bar or a New York City bar?
Yeah, it's a Brooklyn bar too.
It's in Brooklyn. Wow.
Yeah, all the way out in Bay Ridge. So like in that part of Bay Ridge, we're like, I didn't usually give a shit about that, right?
Okay, Bay Ridge is Brooklyn. I wasn't too sure. I'm like, shit. Wow.
I figured maybe like the downtown area, right bordering Manhattan, like you'll probably get something like that where it's like, no, sir, we need to see that ID. We need to make sure you're vaccinated. But yeah, man, they got me. They stopped me, and thankfully I reacted quick and was like, all right, here it is. Let's go.
Can you imagine?
That was like the first time, man.
Can you imagine they asked you for like, do you have your mumps and measles shots to get into this fucking bar to take fucking 10 shots to fucking pass out later?
Listen, I know that we are all old enough where we've all experienced chickenpox. And I had a family event on Saturday, and I literally was speaking to some of my cousins. They got a vaccine for chickenpox now. Like your kid, yeah. Like if your kids are like, I don't know, I think it's like maybe 16 or 17 and younger, they all been vaccinated with chickenpox if you went for full vaccinations and everything like that. So I always thought that blew my mind. I'm like, I start asking people, like, yo, dude, really? At least they don't got to suffer through that nonsense that we all did. So yeah, Friday kind of rolled into that Saturday, and then of course Sunday was a disaster. Hopefully John was, having a little bit more fun this weekend.
I had a good weekend, but John, what was up with you?
I was down in Savannah from Wednesday to Saturday.
Nice.
For my little brother's wedding.
Nice.
Yeah, I was the best
Were you
man.
in it?
Yeah, I was the best man actually.
Nice.
Congrats.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. We had a good time. We had like, my aunts and uncles and cousins and this and that, and my sister-in-law's family there. It was really nice.
John, how'd that speech go? How'd that speech go? Did it last for 45 minutes? You talking bitching about the Giants?
No, bro. My speech was 6 minutes, and I actually counted because
6 minutes.
I couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't. Ooh. I really couldn't for like a year and a half that I've known that I have to make this fucking speech. I didn't have a lot of like good material to go off of. And literally this past, not obviously yesterday, but the Monday previous, right before I left for Georgia, sat down in front of the computer and I said, all right, I got to fucking knock this thing out. 3 hours later, I had a speech, and fucking I want my fiance recorded the video of me doing the speech. And, I watched it a couple of times. I was laughing or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I was like, bro, people are fucking like really laughing at the shit that I was saying. And in 6 minutes, I counted like 23 different times that people were fucking laughing.
That must be
bro, that's like.
So now, were they laughing with you
or at you? Right?
I think both. There was
right. Fair enough.
But yeah, it went well, man. It was the second time I did a best man speech, and you get nervous beforehand because you got a room full of people listening, and there's inside jokes you can make, but a lot of people are not going to know what you're talking about. So you can't use that shit for the most part. But it was a good weekend, man. Savannah's a nice little town. If you guys want like a local weekend trip to go somewhere, pretty good restaurants, nice scenery, people are nice over there.
Nice.
That Georgia accent's pretty fun to listen to when it's like real organic.
Yeah, I've always heard a lot of good things about Savannah. That's awesome.
Yeah, the only reason I would go down there if I was like in the mob and had to get away, because that's what I was kind of doing this past couple of weeks. I've been watching The Sopranos like over again. You know, I watched it like the first time, but like, oh, by the way, like the last episode of The Sopranos, I know everybody gave him shit, but yo, that shit was amazing if you look at it in detail, because Tony comes in at the end. I don't want to spoil alert, just shut it off if you haven't seen The Sopranos, which went off
years ago,
like 2007.
I mean, they even did a remake or whatever they call it, prequel.
Yeah, I seen that too. But like Tony came in the last episode, he came in like dressed like regular, and he's like walked in the diner and he's looking at himself. And like, if you look at Sopranos, like going back in the day, they were all like going to high-end fancy restaurants all the time. And he was looking at his life if he wasn't in the mob. That's why they were at a diner. So he was just looking at like a traditional, like, oh, if I wasn't in the mob, I'd be here at the diner with my family, everybody coming to see me. That was him looking at his life if he didn't get involved in all that fucking other shit. So it was actually, it was actually like really like good, like makes you think, like kind of like it sucks how it ended, like don't believe in all that bullshit. But I tell you, man, I was watching this fucking thing and it reminded me of John Gruden, like how he's been going through all this shit with what he was talking about. And if you ever watch The Sopranos, like they went off, man. They were saying like, they were saying all this derogatory shit about every kind of race, even Italians, like in the fucking story, Paulie, like it was actually fucking insane.
A different time.
Like, he was going off, like, he's saying like faggot all the time, blah, blah, blah. And then I think, what's his name? Devo, like the Johnny Cakes guy, when he met Johnny Cakes, the firefighter and shit. Like, then they killed him because he was gay, and they fucking shoved a pool stick up his ass, and that's how he fucking. Oh my God. That's how they whacked him. But it was funny because they all talk like that. The TV, they were all talking like all these, all this shit, like normal talking, like this is real life. And then John Gruden, get like, with this cancel culture people. I feel like it's kind of whack in a way, because that's how people talk back in the day. And I think people are like, I just like really like bash them, the cancel culture people. I'm like, this is how it is. Like, back in the day, we all talk like that. So I don't know. Like, it was just kind of funny, man, watching like Johnny Cakes and shit. That nickname is hilarious. I know, like Jules, I know like me and you, like our friend Conrad, like he gave us tickets one time. John, this is a true story. Like, Conrad, great guy, man, firefighter, whatever in New York. And then he gave us all tickets to go see like a Yankees Mets game at Shea Stadium, like the picnic. They were in the bleachers, whatever. And then, poor guy, like he went to go get a pretzel, whatever, and he's coming back and he's walking up the steps, and all of us like total assholes. And we just start chanting at him, Johnny Cakes, Johnny Cakes, John. And the whole section wanted to look at us like we're total assholes. But that shit,
I saw a lot of people laughing.
Hilarious. I still laugh to this day just thinking about that shit. That shit was so fucking funny. But those days, man, I tell you, man, those days are gone. You can't say anything anymore. It's fucking sad. Even if it's a joke, you can't say it because you have these little dweebs that come after you. So I kind of feel for John Gruden a little bit. That's what I was thinking when I was watching The Sopranos.
I got to throw in one quick thing though, because there is something that you mentioned with the last scene of The Sopranos that has stuck out to me ever since watching Saints of Newark, right? The Many Saints of Newark. They really focused in a little bit on Tony's football career in that. I didn't
see Many Saints of Newark.
No, I'm not giving away anything here. More so, I'm going to refer back to The Sopranos.
John's all
like there is a lot of that where him in the Letterman's jacket, but like you really didn't see much of it. There was a constant mention when they had like that party and everything, and when they were talking about it. And if I noticed this, because I had watched that last scene again, pretty much right after watching The Saints of Newark, I kind of like cheated and looked on YouTube just to see the final scenes of Soprano and all that. When he looks in, not only is he looking, like you said, at himself, but there's also a big mural on the diner on the back that has like a high school team. And I'm not sure if it's the same one or not, because like now I almost want to go back and double check, especially that you're saying this now, because it's something that kind of stood out to me after watching Saints of Newark. And literally, it almost looks like it's like, how like when you go into the local diners, they'll have like the high school football team all over the place. It almost looks like it was that. So if you're talking about him reflecting on it, he could actually be glancing in on that mural saying, holy shit, what if I would have stayed and did the life instead of going into this life? You know what I'm saying? And stayed and went to school.
Dude,
So I don't know, man. When you put that in my head right now, it's all I thought of immediately. And I was like, oh my God. And I haven't, and I'm like a YouTube freak when it comes to all this kind of stuff. And when, reviewing certain shows and movies and things like that. And literally I was sitting there and I'm like, no one's really said it. So all of a sudden, if I start seeing YouTube videos being made about that, I am going to get upset because you heard it here first. I love the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. It's supposed to be about the Giants, but we were just changing up the mood a little bit, all right? Yeah. So we don't sound like we're just whining or complaining or trying to throw like the hope into the fucking season because we all know where that thing's been going so far.
Sean, you got anything to add to that before I go into what happened on Sunday?
I'm going to try just because I want to avoid that as much as possible. When the Sopranos finale aired, I remember like the crazy outrage, and I was part of that. I hated that there was no like closure, so to speak. But later on in life, like 2 years ago, whatever, last year, 2 years ago, I watched the whole Sopranos again, and I don't know, maybe I was 20 or something like that when when it first aired.
Yep.
And now older, I kind of have more of an appreciation for the idea that they left it basically open-ended, and it kind of ends almost like you fill in the blanks. However you want the series to end in your mind, that's kind of like the controversy behind it. I thought from like just like a movie making, show making thing, I think it's actually a pretty cool way to go out, even though in the moment it definitely fucking was annoying.
Yeah, not at because you're right, man. It makes you think later on, but at the time I was like, did my fucking power go out? I'm like,
my God,
what the fuck happened to the cable?
Bro, I was one of the millions of people like you, Mike. I started yelling. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
I called Optimum Online. I called Optimum Online right away. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, put me into somebody. I want to speak to a representative. I'm like, representative. Holy shit.
Yeah, people calling each other. Did your shit go out? What happened? What happened? I remember that. So that was pretty crazy.
But all I know is Metal Soprano got really hot in the last couple of seasons. I was like, God damn. I was like, Jesus. All right. So
no, she was young in the beginning.
Yeah, like in the beginning, it's like weird. Like you're watching it from the beginning, like, oh God, like yeah. And then all of a sudden, like, later on, I'm like, when she started banging the dudes, I'm like, oh shit, Metal Soprano's fucking banging. whatever. I'll probably edit that part out of the podcast when I edit this tomorrow. All right, so guys, I'm just gonna say my piece about this Dallas game, and then I'm not gonna talk about it anymore.
But look, that's how bad it is that your mind is still stuck from 2 weeks ago. Because you said you're like you Freudian slipped right there. You're like, you know what? I just glanced over this past game against the Rams, by the way.
The Rams
and not the Stafford.
Yeah. I keep saying Dallas because Dallas is just on my mind. Because if Dallas lost all their players, like I said last week, it just wouldn't be a discussion. Nobody would be going after after Jerry Jones. They wouldn't be going after their GM. They wouldn't be going after the coach, even the coach is an asshole. But they wouldn't be fucking bitching about them. But anyway, this game against the Rams, where we got fucking blown out. Like, we started off pretty well. Like, Tony was playing. Tony caught 3 passes. I'm like, oh, nobody can fucking guard this kid. What a great trade by Gettleman, by the way. We got Tony and the fucking first-round pick next year, which is going to turn into something. I can't wait. But then Tony goes out with an injury, right? Fucking ankle. I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. And then all of a sudden, fucking Andrew Thomas gets fucking banged out. Our fucking left tackle. I'm like, Jesus. Then Matty P got to come in, and then everybody, like old Giants Twitter, was like, Matty P got to start over Nate Soldier all morning. I was reading this. They got to start. Why is he warming up? Why is he in there? And I tell you, he has a back injury, and that's going to come out after the season. Like Jules, like you said, you heard it here first. You're going to hear about that come out after the season with his back injury, because he's not the same player, obviously, because he looked like a disaster, like what happened. That's why they were trying to protect him, but they had to throw him in, and he's going to end up playing next week because Thomas ended up on IR for the next 3 games. So that was a fucking blow. So I just want to say, like, one thing besides that fucking disaster. I'm like, you're going after Daniel Jones, but I watched the game over it again. And people were bashing Daniel Jones too. I'm like, listen, that dude was trying for anything. Once Tony went out of the game, there was nobody open. Even Shepard, like hobbles, coming back from his hamstring injury, like he was barely open and he was getting a couple shots there, but there was literally nobody open. Daniel Jones was trying to do anything for his life. So the people saying like, oh, Daniel Jones sucks, blah, blah, blah. We got to trade for fucking Rodgers or Watson. Like, stop it. Like, if you watch the tape, there was literally nobody fucking open. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do shit. Like, it was that bad. Like, just imagine, like, say you watch the NBA and back in the 90s when Jordan and Bulls were going along. So say if Michael Jordan got hurt, Scottie Pippen got hurt, John Paxson got hurt, Craig Hodges got hurt, and then you had all these subs come in. Do you expect to win? Do you really expect to win? I know you don't want to hear about injuries. Everybody's bitching about, oh, Gettleman got to go. Gettleman got to go. The Joe Judge got to go. We don't know what he's doing. All the coaching staff got to go. I'm like, stop it. Like, if you playing with these guys like that just showed up, like Daniel Jones showed up at MetLife Stadium, right in the parking lot. He got out of his car, and all of a sudden, like about 8 dudes came up to him. He's like, "Hey, I play for the Giants too." He's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "Oh, I'm wide receiver. I'm fucking offensive lineman." Blah blah blah. Nice to meet you.
Protecting your left side, sir.
Jules, nice to meet you. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just met these fucking assholes. And then all of a sudden they're going to protect his blind side and going to go around catching passes. Like, just stop it, man. So, like, that's it. That's my piece about the game. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, you guys be my guests and then just come back to me when we want to talk about the preview next week.
No, listen. So here for me, I can keep it real quick and easy tonight because there isn't much to go over it. What are you going to keep saying? The thing that I do want to kind of just piggyback on you for a moment is the whole injuries thing, right? Here's the problem with the Giants. If the Giants won 10 games last year and all these injuries occurred, then it wouldn't be so bad. It wouldn't be everybody being like, this person sucks, that person's got to be fired, this person, we would be in that position where it's like, oh shit, we just had a bad luck. What are we supposed to do? Or even if we were like, I don't know, 7-9 2 years ago, and we only got to 8-8 last year, and expectations were high. We bought all this, maybe, but when you continuously start off 1-5, that's all people are seeing at this point. I don't care if you're a diehard fan. I don't care if you're an avid fan. I don't care if you just barely watch them. All you continuously see is that this team's 1-5, 1-5, 1-5 to start the season. This whole new regime is here again. Dave Gettleman hasn't changed anything. What else is there to say? There's not. So that's why the injuries are sort of either downplayed to an extent or overlooked because of the fact that it's just been poor start after poor start after poor start, and people are just tired of seeing it. And that's all I'm going to say about the game because I think you covered everything else, and then we will have a question from one of our listeners, and that'll kind of make me tie in a lot more. So I'm just going to kind of leave it there for now.
My biggest concern from the game, because you can't look at the offense and talk. I mean, blame Daniel Jones. I mean, for God's sakes, like, what the hell do you want this kid to do? First of all, he was basically in a freaking plane crash last week with the concussion that he got, and then he's back in there, and 7 days later, behind a terrible offensive line. Like, what do you want this kid to do? Same thing applies to Jason Garrett. Same thing applies to Dave Gettleman. The biggest concern. And they started off good, but in the second quarter, man, I know there's a couple turnovers, but 4 for 4 on touchdowns to the opposing team, like 28 points in the second quarter, just quick fatality, game over. They got to go out there and have this fucking stupid celebration for the 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl win, and all the fans are like, oh yeah, we're not just fully mounted right now by the Rams. Let's pretend for 10 minutes that all things are good in the world, and let's go back and then just get slapped around, man. On offense, you have 11 starters plus a couple sub guys. If you get 13, 14 guys really see the field on offense, I think the top 10, 11 of them, aside from Daniel Jones, who already missed the game, are all injured. So you really just can't expect anything out of the offense. The defense, on the other hand, man, that's 2 games in a row where they gave up a combined 81, I think, points. That's bananas. And in both games, realistically speaking, each team could have scored 2 more touchdowns if they really wanted to step on the Giants' throat. They didn't, a couple of mistakes here, a couple of mistakes there, and taking the foot off the gas. But you're talking about almost giving up 100 points in 2 games. You get nervous that this message that Joe just had is really worn thin at this point, and there's no goodwill, there's no confidence, there's no nothing anywhere. It seems like inside the locker room, in the coaching staff, in the front office, in the fan base, in the media, it's just everybody's ready to pounce. They're so tired of losing that there's no more. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And you know what? You're 1-5 now. You got blown out the last 2 games. You can't keep your guys healthy. It's hard to blame anybody, but like I said, the biggest concern is what is going on with this defense, and can they snap back together where maybe this year is over, but maybe you don't have to make crazy wholesale changes. New scheme, new coaches, new this, new that next year. Maybe they could kind of settle into a groove somehow and start playing good football, because the talent's there. The talent's there. It's just you got 11, 12, 13 guys just playing well below their baseball card, and I guess there's really not much more to say to the game other than Andrew Thomas and Kadarius Toney getting hurt. But
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. Like, I know we dwelled on it, we talked about it, but do you I'm going to give you my opinion on this too, but do you guys really believe that it's Gettleman's fault, or do you believe it has a lot to do with Jerry Reese? Because I'm going to tell you my point of view, and Jules could attest to this, because we talked about, like, always, with the Giants drafting, like, years ago when we went with OBJ, Jules, right? I wanted Aaron Donald. I think a lot of us did, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, sure, OBJ played great. He was phenomenal. He was awesome. Like, everybody loved him. But there was another guy I wanted, which was TJ Watt instead of Evan Ingram, right? And imagine, because the Giants, like, historically has been about the defense. So why wouldn't you go there? Why'd you go away from that? When you're Jerry Reese, why would you go away from the defense? Why are you giving playmakers, like, to the offensive side of the ball, when historically it's our championship years have been about the defense? Can you imagine this team with Aaron Donald and TJ Watt? And I'll be honest, like, listen, everybody knew about Aaron Donald, but TJ Watt, I'll be honest, I didn't really know so much about him. I just knew he was JJ Watt's brother. And I'm like, you got to get this fucking guy. Okay. And sure, like, I would have been right. Like, I'll toot my own horn about that. But can you imagine that defense with those fucking 2 guys on that side of the ball?
Listen, I'm not gonna stay too much on that, but you're right. I mean, look, yes, if we would have had that kind of talent and been able to get them in the draft, they would have been phenomenal. But the reality is this: I'm not going to at all try to sit here and say after 4 years that Jerry Reese has anything to do with this current team. I mean, there's just nothing you could sit there and say about. You want to talk about the first couple of years? Sure. But at this point in time, no. I mean, I don't even want to bring up Jerry Reese anymore, unless it's to be in some sort of weird discussion where it's like, we should have kept him, or something weird along those lines, or bring Jerry Reese back. Yeah, fine. Then we can talk about that. And guess what? Throughout the fucking months of January and April, that's what we'll be talking about. All right. For now, look, and it's going to be part to answer to the question that we have that we're going to get to in a few minutes. But absolutely, is he to blame? Yes. Is everything his fault? No. So that's where I'm just going to kind of leave it with Ghetto Guy, Goof, whatever you call him.
Yeah, Ghetto Guy. I honestly, man, I think on paper, just looking at depth charts, you put 32 head coaches in front offices in front of 32 rosters, blind, not knowing what team goes where, whatever. I think that out of the 32 front offices, you're probably talking the Giants roster being taken somewhere between the 10th and the 15th on almost every single one of those, whatchamacallit. The roster is good, man. Daniel Jones is clearly a good quarterback. What?
That leads to Jules's the question that Jules was brought up beforehand. You exactly hit the point.
you want to get into that?
What's
now?
that? I'm sorry. Say that again.
No, but like he's bringing up the point, like, you know, if you're a coach or whatever, and you're like, say the Giants roster is like 10 to 15, like John said, like, does a new coach make that even better? Like, right? Wasn't that somebody wrote in?
Well, yeah. No, do you have that question? You want me to, you have it or?
No, I think you texted it, like, in the group text.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull it up so we can get this exact question. So we definitely had we had one of the listeners call in, Cole 5734 at Gmail. Thank you for this. But his question is this, guys. So give me one second. Let me just pull this up again here. Would an experienced, successful NFL coach do a better job than Judge has done so far? So I guess when he means by successful, and thank you again for the question, is someone that has a decent track record, like maybe had a bunch of playoff appearances, been in the league a bunch of years, has had the head coach reins, come in, and would he be doing better with this roster? Now, look, I've got a lot of points.
I got the perfect guy for you.
Well, no, I mean, not even what perfect guy. Because the question is, you know, would that person be doing better? And if this perfect guy is a solution and you think he would, then by all means, please say it. But would this guy...
Mike Tomlin.
But Mike Tomlin's not a realistic choice.
Mike Tomlin's not Bill Belichick, but Mike Tomlin is a damn good head coach. And I guarantee you, if you have this roster, they would not be 1-5 right now.
Wow.
I want to just you know, like, he's a top 10 coach. He's not probably top 5. He's definitely not, an average, 16th best coach. I feel like that's the right guy. Long time head coach. Won a Super Bowl, is in the playoffs. Regardless of the guys on the roster, he's able to have his team perform. Sure, I guess playing against the Bengals and the Browns for the majority of his tenure helped out a little bit, but he's a good head coach. Imagine, to the Cole's question. Just imagine if Mike Tomlin was the head coach instead. Do you foresee this team also being 1-5 with that kind of head coach here? I don't see that.
Okay.
Wow.
Mike, what's your opinion? Because like I said, I've got a few points on this one. So Mike, please, I want to hear you. I want to hear what you think.
I tell you, like, John brings up like a point, because I remember hearing like Terry Bradshaw knocking Mike Tomlin back in the day for his coaching style, how he could never get this team over the hump. So like I don't know what to believe with that with Mike Tomlin. Like I always like Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh is always, every year, no matter what, they're pretty much always in the hunt. They win big games. They're consistent, so I could see that, like, people, want the Giants to be consistent. Would another head coach get this roster? I tell you, I have to say no. Just point blank no, because of injuries. I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse, but I mean, listen, if you don't have the fucking players to, make your, you know what I mean? Like, make your team, execute, it's just not going to happen. Like, I don't know. I don't care who you are. You can't expect a team to have all their weapons. I mean, we lost everybody. Like, it just, it's crazy. Like, I can't believe this is happening to this day. You can't lose like your quarterback for basically 2 games. You can't lose your running back for multiple games, or your wide receivers. I don't know who the fuck they had fucking catching balls this past fucking week. You can't lose 4/5 of your starting offensive lineman. You can't lose that, right? And basically we were thin to begin with. We needed all 5 starters to be there from the get-go to actually succeed. And that just did not happen from the week 1. And then you're losing your starting middle linebacker and, play calling in your defense. So it was just a fucking disaster. So I have to say no, because no other coach could come in here. Even Jesus, if Jesus wanted to come down with the second coming and start coaching these guys to make them win, he's going to have to fucking perform miracles. And I just don't see that fucking happening, man. I'm sorry. Sorry, Jesus.
Remember I said I have a couple of parts to this, right? So we could address the injuries in the room as much as we want to. We're blue in the face, but that's just a reality of what it is, right? But the better teams still compete to a certain level and can get past some of these injuries. Not saying all of them, right? And that makes me go back, because immediately when you started talking about injuries, and that's the main thing, and it doesn't matter if you had Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick, and fucking Bill Parcells all on the same team right now coaching, yeah, they probably still wouldn't be able to make this a Super Bowl contending team. Understood. And we'll get back to that later. But at the most part right now, and here's a quick question I have for you two guys, and then I'll get back to answering this one. Would you, and do you think the fan base would be happy at 3-3 right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe that an experienced coach, not even an experienced successful one, more of an experienced coach, probably, and again, things happen, and you know, balls could have bounced a different way, and you know, game plan could have went somewhere other direction. But a better coach or a more experienced coach, let me stick with that, has us at 3-3 right now. We beat Washington. I'm sorry. That game, there was definitely times where we should have went for it on 4th down. We should have.
I don't agree.
Come on, man. That defense that we were running, even if that's not your thing, and your head coach, you let your coordinators run it, at some point, an experienced head coach would have went over and said, Graham, chill. What are we doing with this? I want a blitz. I'd rather get burned on that than have them complete 17 passes underneath, and then they're still hitting passes on the outside. We didn't stop nothing. You gotta come in as a head coach and do something at that point. You see it all the time on the sidelines. All the time on the sidelines. Head coaches will grab their coordinator and be like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, yo, this is gonna end. And like they'll get it fucking going again. And he doesn't do that.
I see.
And I saw that in both of those games. So I don't know. I'll wait for you. I see you want to answer that, please.
Yeah, Jules, I see your point on that. Like, I get it. Like, you're right. But at the same time, there was plays to be made in those games. Slayton dropped that deep ball against Washington. The fucking bullshit refs called the missed field goal. And then you're going back to the other game when, you know, Dory Jackson drops that pick in the end zone. So the players got to make the plays. They got to make the plays. Because if they make the plays, then the record flips. And then we're not saying this discussion about like, oh, if a better coach comes in, like, but I get it. Like, you know, we have no pass rush. It hurts our defense. I get it.
We have no pass rush, but that's going to lead me into, if you watched last night's Monday night game, Buffalo versus Tennessee.
Great game.
Buffalo, great game back and forth. And, you know, we can go through that with blue in the face because there was a lot to talk about. But one thing that stood out to me was when they felt they weren't getting that rush with just 4 guys, they sent the 5th guy. They sent the 6th guy even.
Right.
They'd have 8 in the box. They weren't afraid to put their corners on an island. And their corners, with the exception of maybe White, their corners weren't even supposed to be one of the better corners in the league. We were supposed to have that. And yet we never do that. We never do that kind of shit. So that's where this coaching has to come into play. And that's where I'm really going to start harping on that, because fine, let's not point the finger at Graham or Garrett, because that's what we all do, or judges even. They should all collectively come together and start seeing what hasn't been working. What are we doing wrong? What do we need to do more of, less of? And they don't do it. And I think that if you had that general in that office, that guy that's been there, he could get that meeting to take place. And at the very least, they could maybe get a couple of things fixed on both sides of the ball. I wasn't sure if John was about to jump in there. That's why I stopped.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, good point.
I know you guys are going.
You know, and that's just really what I feel about that. And that's just the sort of the thing that I'll like finish by saying again, is where I think maybe, and again, it's a maybe, right? Like you can't say this for certain, that if you had that more experienced coach in there, things would have been called differently. Things would be running slightly different. Not saying it'd be better. Who knows? Maybe we don't even beat the Saints, right? I mean, who the hell knows, right? You never can say that, because there's been plenty of coaches that have had great success, had a ton of experience, and have gone to second teams and done nothing. Right. So that has happened time and time again. Right. So, you know, we have to keep that in mind. And also, too, about that pass rush, because this is something that I was thinking about earlier in the week, was literally, you know, we kind of been spoiled as Giants fans. Right. Even if you go back to the 80s, you know, we had a pass rush because you had a player that literally redefined a position in Lawrence Taylor and Pepper Johnson and Carl Banks. You had these studs that could get to the quarterback. It was always a thing. And look, it was as if a baton was passed. And then you brought in the Strahans and the Tucks and the OCU Manuras and then JPP. You know, we were so spoiled that we've had these guys where you could rush 4 guys and get in there. You know, because these guys, like 2 of these guys had to be double teamed. So guess what? 2 of them are getting double teamed. 1 of the other guys better be in there. All right. And you know, literally that's something that we took for granted. But what I've seen these better teams do, right? You know, up until last night, and think about it, man, the Bills were a half an inch away from winning a football game and being 5-1 right now, sitting on top of the NFL as probably the best team in football, right? And literally they made a gutsy call. You can go back and forth and discuss it. They looked off. You know, they had Allen in a shotgun at first, and then he ran up. They should have just went at it. I don't know what the hell they were doing. I think there was some indecision there, which I also think that McDermott ultimately overruled because there might have been coordinators telling him to kick the field goal, right? And he made that decision as a head coach and put it on him. And I don't see Judge do that. So that's kind of the last bit I was throwing in there. We're referring to last night's game. And that's where you see the difference. Look, it's one of those things. If Allen gets that half a yard, McDermott looks like a genius. He doesn't get it, and everybody's like, "Oh, you should have kicked the field goal, you moron!" Blah 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 blah. They're 4-2. They're still a really good football team, and they're not going anywhere. All right, like that's just the point there with that.
Jules, can you imagine like Joe Judge went for it and they got stopped on 4th down? Can you imagine the heat he would have got?
Forget it, man. Forget it. Like, you know, people be yelling fire government.
It's just fucked up. It's just fucked up. All right, guys. So we you want to take a quick break and then
I guess we can break on that one.
And then we'll get into the picks or whatever.
Well, preview next week for the Giants, and then we'll do the picks.
And the preview. Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll be right back with the BBO NYG podcast. All right, guys. We are back with the BBO NYG podcast. We're going to talk preview of the Giants game against Carolina Panthers. Get them into old team. Go figure. Of course, that's got to be the game this week. And then we're going to get our picks going on. So, like, guys, the preview, I only got one thing to say about the preview. I don't know who the fuck's going to play in that game. I just hope Daniel Jones survives, and I just hope we sneak out with a win because I know in my survivor pool, everybody's going to take Carolina to beat the Giants. So I'm hoping for an upset. I can't believe I'm saying the Giants going to be an upset against Sam Darnold.
There's 3 double-digit games on board this week. In addition to the Giants. So, like, you know, people are going to be taking the same games, too, in the survivor pool. So don't think everybody's put on the Carolina bandwagon out of -3.
No, but Jules, in mine, you can only go against a losing team twice. So if Houston sucks, so like all of a sudden, like I'm stuck. Like I can't take Arizona against Houston in one of my survivor picks, which I'm pissed. Otherwise, I take them like easy money. But yeah, so like it makes it pretty competitive because there's like 1,500 people in this one I'm in.
Yeah, so they gotta start like eliminating the field quick. I hear.
You gotta do that. So I mean, I'm hoping everybody takes fucking Carolina so the Giants could somehow win, but who the hell knows? But my preview is just like, please win, God, please.
Well, listen, the only preview part I'm going to give is that, you know, there is some light that maybe Barkley plays. I haven't read anything bad about Tony, so he might be ready to go. Shepard didn't hurt himself walking.
Tony's out. Tony's out.
Right? How long did we know for
one game at least?
All right. So he's out. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I'll tell you this much, and this is kind of the point. I'll let you kind of take it from here, John. But if they go into this game, right, and I don't give a shit who's playing with where, and I don't care if we're on, we literally grabbed the biggest guy that we saw in the parking lot. And now he's playing left guard for us, or whatever the case may be. If the Giants get blown out by Carolina, right, because Sammy D started off fantastic, but he hasn't looked so fantastic. There is no Christian McCaffrey. They got their problems too. Yes, their defense is a lot better than it's been over the last few seasons, but they still have their problems. All right, if the Giants go in and get blown out, I'm talking like where it's just not a game, you're embarrassed, you don't want to watch it, you want to turn it off in the fourth quarter, pretty much like they should have pulled Daniel Jones out of the fourth quarter at the end of the game, towards the end of the game last week, but they didn't. Guy coming off a crazy injury like that, but that's another story. But if they do, something has to happen in the week, like something, man. Like I don't want to hear no more kicking cans. I don't want to hear no more, whatever kind of like nonsense is going on between Twitter world and no. Something's got to be done in that front office if we get our asses handed to us on Sunday, and that's the only preview I got.
It's there. At this point, you whatever the plan was, whatever the philosophy was, it flat out hasn't worked. And it's a million reasons why. And I've been saying for fucking a couple of years that, I think Mara sold his soul for those 2 Lombardis in 2007 and 2011, and now we're just got this hex on us, injuries and just guys
So, it's
blowing
kind of
our
hard
hands
to sell
off.
your soul twice, but I.
No, listen, I'm obviously kidding, but like
2 souls.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at Joe Namath, he sold his one. That's why the Jets only got one.
I don't know if you know this, but the Giants do have 2 owners, Steve Fish and John Mara. So
that's true. That's true.
So
I'm taking the Giants +3.
I tell you, take the under. Take the under.
Yeah, right.
That might be a bet because the Giants, the past couple of games, they went over because the other team went over. So maybe take the under in this game.
I don't know. I mean, if they get blown out, I can't imagine that on Monday someone's not getting fired. I don't know if it's Gettleman. I don't know if it's Garrett. It's definitely not going to be Joe Judge. It's definitely not going to be Patrick Graham.
Right.
Maybe one of the assistant coaches somewhere goes. I don't know who, but somebody somewhere. They're going to have to give their the fans a pound of flesh. You got.
Isn't there like a strength and conditioning coach?
Yeah, he's like 90.
Yeah, man.
Online.
I don't even know. Right? I don't even know if that's it, bro.
Life
Stadium.
The fall guy. You got 75 injuries on a 50-man roster, and the strength and conditioning guy. No, that dude's
remember last year, bro.
He doesn't leave the training facilities. He's got like 5 bodyguards around him.
It's Jack LaLanne.
Remember last year, though? They were San Francisco was complaining about the turf at MetLife. We've heard our own players complain about the turf at MetLife. Maybe there's just something up with whatever composition it is of the turf that they use for New Jersey's weather. I don't have no idea about any of that stuff, but
that's a good.
It's possible. I mean, listen, when you start going out and you're an anomaly as far as injuries are concerned, you got to start looking at more than just okay, this is just what it is. Like there's got to be something concrete that's causing some of this. It can't just be oppressive bad luck. Like that just can't be the case.
Well, no, I mean that's a great because actually after the Washington game I looked and their field has the most injuries. I forget from what year on, but definitely over like the last 10 years.
Washington
have been injured in Washington than any other field.
Wow.
Really?
He did lose a couple of guys in that game. So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked to see what MetLife is, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if MetLife is not in the top 10. And you're right. That's where, Tisch goes around with his chest out saying that, he's accountable and everybody can go. We know he's not going to go anywhere. But you know what? If he's got to be held accountable and he's got to open up the wallet to fix the field, maybe he's got to do that. I mean, they did it back in the day when Jason Sehorn went out. Remember that? So, yeah. I don't know. It's something to kind of consider and look into for sure.
I never would have thought that.
I don't know. We're trying to, solve an unsolvable mystery.
I'm out of here.
I mean, listen, if we're starting guys like Corey Cunningham, Wes Martin, Dante Pettis, Colin Johnson, there's something fucking wrong somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, somewhere, dude. Like somebody doing that right.
I can't believe I remember those names off the fucking beat. Shit.
Yeah, that was good though. That was credit.
God damn. All right, so are you guys ready to do these picks and just stop? Like, I mean, I don't want to talk about anything else besides. I mean, even though Jackson Mayholmes, that asshole, fucking danced on did you see that on the Washington logo on that field? Speaking of the field, so Jackson Mayholmes danced on Sean Taylor's fucking number on the field and shit for a TikTok dance. First off, the dance sucked, and what are you doing? You're fucking you're 20-something years old dancing on TikTok. What the fuck's the matter with you? You fucking
you spit too much.
Shut the oh, what's the matter with these fucking people, man? Did you guys see that? You both seen that, right?
Yeah, I mean, but playing on Sunday, I was in another level, if you would. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I was like, you know what? I don't even know what day it is. Is it Sunday still? Oh, all right.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I get tricked out. When Giants get blown out, I don't even want to say the word football, let alone watch anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I get what happens, but I still pay attention to the fantasy and checking on certain things and the picks and all that kind of stuff. But man, it gets brutal after a while.
Sure it does. But hey, listen, we did have a decent week in the fucking in the pick'em pool.
So we're back in what, second place, right?
We're back in second place.
All right.
So, listen, Woody is crushing it. He has like 72.5 points. Fucking Woody, man. He's just.
Where'd you find this guy? Is he like one of the guys that puts out bets in Vegas or something?
Oh man, I wish I told him he should be betting every week. My boy Jeff. Yeah, he's crushing it. 72.5. Big Blue Offensive Podcast. We're at 61.5. So we got some work to do. And then Rob is at 60. King Glue is at 60. MFT, which is me, I'm at 59. And then you gotta go down the line. So we gotta come up strong this week, man. Otherwise, this guy Jeff is pulling ahead. So listen, I'll start. Like the first game for Thursday night is the Cleveland Browns, which got embarrassed by Arizona. They're -3 against the Broncos.
I mean, look, they're at home, and that's about the only thing that, like, this game is, it could be ugly or it could be a lot of fun. If you guys remember last year, remember the Jets played Broncos on like that Thursday night game, and everybody thought it was going to be like a defensive snooze fest.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they just started lighting up the Jets, and then the Jets tried to come back, and then they just continued crushing them. So it could turn into one of those. Only because the Browns are so banged up. I mean, they're on their like fourth string running back at this point. You know, Baker Mayfield's got a separated shoulder. You know, Landry, I don't know if he's ever coming back. And then you're on the other side of football where the Broncos were a 3-0 team and they're now 3-3. You know,
great.
So it's just, I don't know what to think here, but I think Bridgewater's back, and that's going to be the difference for me. So I'm going to go Broncos with the points.
I'll take the Broncos with the point as well.
Broncos it is.
Yeah. Because, by the way, I had an argument with somebody on fucking social media about how the regime of the Giants sucks compared to the Browns, the Dolphins, and the Colts. And look what happened. All right. So just whatever.
We'll save that. You know, we'll save that for like the offseason.
Let me throw that in there. All right. So the next game. Oh, the Packers are at home. They're -9.5 against the Washington football team.
I hate that spread.
That spread is a lot, right?
This is that type of team right now where it's like the Packers win, but they never seem to cover, and Washington always loses, but they never seem to try to win. Right? Like they're always there. I mean, like, you know, they were in it so like that through the first 3 quarters against the Chiefs, and then in the beginning of that fourth quarter, the Chiefs pulled away on them. You know, the Packers are like Jekyll and Hyde. They look great. They don't look great. And they went into you know, Chicago, and they won by 14 or 13, whatever it was. But meanwhile, they had to take like 17 missed field goals to beat the Bengals. So yeah, I don't know. But like that spread is high. I mean, is it too much to ask Green Bay to win by 10 at home? It's not. I almost got to go Packers here, but it's reluctantly.
I'm taking Washington because they got blown out pretty much against Kansas City. And Packers are a weird team. I'm gonna take that's why, for your reasoning, I'm gonna have to go with Washington. So it's up to John.
Packers.
All right, Packers it is.
Aaron
Rodgers. By the way, I was leaning towards the Packers as my survivor pool, but I'm going to go with the Rams, and I'm going to go with my other pick, New England, because New England plays the Jets. I can't take Arizona, which sucks. All right. So we're all talking about this game, the Giants against the Panthers. Panthers are -3.
We're talking about it. Giants +3. I'm fucking hanging in there one more week. One more week. That's all you fucks got.
Right. One more week. Boom. Giants. The bet is in. All right. Next game. Falcons are -2.5 against the Dolphins. I don't know what the fuck happened. Dolphins were in London. How are they playing? They don't get a bye week after this? After being in London?
Yeah, right.
Play
Miami, right?
I think we have to go with Falcons right here.
But yeah, I like Atlanta this week. They're coming off of a bye, and literally Miami's coming back from London. Yes, Tua's back, but you know what? They gotta what are they laying 2.5, right, Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll lay the 2.5.
Oh man, that's a good survivor pick, man. Shit, I almost want to switch it to Atlanta and just get them out the way. But all right, Atlanta is that might be a key bet, dude. I really like that game a lot.
I'm kind of feeling you on that for whatever reason. I'll take that as a money ball.
All right, so money ball it is right there. John, you agree?
Yep.
All right. So next game is the Chiefs. They're -5.5 against the Titans, which came off a big win on Monday night. This might be another close game. I don't know. Jules, what do you think?
Super close game. I think it's gonna be. I think it will be close. The key is that Derrick Henry, as long as he runs like he did Monday night, the Chiefs ain't stopping him. You know what I mean? So, like, if they can run and control the football like they did, and Julio's healthy, AJ Brown is healthy, Titans might pull an upset here. If not, it's a field goal.
Julio's not. He went out with a hamstring injury, and the Titans lost one of their starting cornerbacks, right?
Well, their secondary is just fucking found. Like, the Chiefs can light them apart. I mean, that is the thing there.
That's what I mean. It's a tough game, man. I don't know. Either way, I could go either way on this.
I always like when a team is at home and they're getting almost 6 points when they're not bad and they just knocked off what was supposed to be the best team in football right now. So, yes, they could be high from that win, and then all of a sudden they come crashing down on Sunday and they lay an egg. That can happen. But they are also in control of that division, and they kind of need to win games more than lose. So, I don't know, man. It's a tough call there. But give me the points. I'll go points.
You're going to go Titans. All right, I'm going to take the Chiefs. So, John, you got to decide this game.
It's Chiefs.
Chiefs it is.
Chiefs it is.
All right, next game is my survivor pick, so you know where I'm going. The Patriots are -7.5 against the Jets.
So here's a quick interesting fact. They're at home. Belichick, for the first time in his New England career, has lost 4 games at home, is 0-4 at home. It's not going to continue. They're in New England. They're going to smash the Jets. I don't give a fuck if they're coming off of a bye or not. Yeah, I will say they're going to cover. They'll probably beat them by 14.
Key bet?
Yeah, I think so.
Moneyball bet.
Moneyball.
Patriots it is. I like that bet a lot. I think they destroy them. All right, next game.
I didn't use the Patriots already. I would use them as my survivor, but I use them.
You're using that too?
Yeah. No, I used them already.
You used them. Okay.
Yeah, I used them already. That's a suck. Like, God damn it.
All right. So the next game are the Ravens. They're -6.5 against the Bengals. Bengals have been playing good, man. They've been playing good ball.
This is a trap game. It really is. Like, in real gambling, I will not touch this game because, you're right. The Bengals have been playing good.
Like the Chargers last week, right?
Yeah. And the Ravens, the Ravens, I get, have been playing good too. And it's like, you know what? It's a divisional game. I think it's going to be closer, but don't be surprised if there is an upset. I'll take the Bengals in the points.
I'm going to go with the Bengals with the points too. Yeah, I like the Bengals. John, you like the Bengals?
I actually I'm going Ravens, but.
Oh, Ravens. All right. Then we'll skip the key bet then.
Yeah, no key bet there. Definitely no key bet.
All right, no doubt. All right, so the next game I actually like a lot too. The Raiders are at home -3.5 against the Eagles. I love the Raiders.
I do too. I do too. I really do too. I'm just nervous because you know how sometimes they get up for that intern coach the one week and then the next week they land.
I know.
That's the only thing I'm afraid of. But other than that, yeah, I mean, at home they seem to play well in Vegas. So yeah, I'll take the Raiders -3.
Eagles defense sucks. The Raiders, like, Carr's been on fire. Like, I could see that, and the Raiders defense has been playing good. I could see the Raiders really lighting them up, man. And they're at home in LA. Eagles got to fucking travel.
Yeah, I know. No, they're in Vegas. Yeah,
is that a key bet? Is that a key bet too? I'm trying to persuade you guys.
Yeah, I think so.
A little daring. I might like take the Raiders as my survivor pick. I don't know yet. It would be ballsy. Then I could leave the big 3 teams alone in Arizona, the Rams, and Tampa. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that week. I don't know. The Eagles always seem to fucking gut punch me anytime they can.
I know.
So that's what I'm afraid of the most. That's just the Giants fan talking. So, yeah, but I'm all in on the Raiders. If you guys want a money baller, we can.
I'm with that. John said he's with that. So we got 3 picks. We got the Falcons, we got the Patriots, and we got the Raiders as money ball picks. All right. Next game, holy shit, the Rams are at home. They're -15.5 against the Lions. I mean, 15.5.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the Lions offense has just been nowhere to be found. As much as you want to, like, blame whatever you want to blame in Detroit, they clearly cleaned house this year, and that's what to expect. I just hope the Rams stay like into the game enough where they cover. You know what I mean? Like, I can see them getting bored. They're up 35 to fucking 14, and they let up a bullshit touchdown. Now they don't cover. You know
Sean
what I'm trying
McVay.
to say? Like that's the reality with that. That's how stupid it is. Like they took the foot off the gas against us. Why would they do that against Detroit again in the fourth quarter? Detroit gets a bullshit score at the end and they don't cover. But
Sean McVay knows golf pretty well, so he's probably gonna throw some shit at him where he's gonna be like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
I can see them getting shut out. Actually,
I could too, though. I could see that too, where they just go up and it's like 24-0 and it's just a game over and wrap it up or whatever. You got to go Rams. How do you not?
Right? Yeah, I got to go Rams. That might be our fourth key bet. Should I just throw it in now and we'll change it?
I don't know yet because there's another game on board that I'd rather possibly talk a little more about, but we'll see.
All right, we'll see. All right, Buccaneers, they're at home. They're minus 12.5 against the Bears.
Yeah, that was the one.
Really?
Extra day of rest. They literally are like, if you heard Brady was talking and said, we got to play better. He wasn't happy about his performance last week. You know, they almost let the Eagles back in that game. They actually did. You know, it was sort of like a couple weeks back where I was saying the same thing where it was like, you know, the Bucs have been begging to get beat. They've been begging. And then all of a sudden, I forgot what they forgot who they played, and they just destroyed them. They won by like 25-30. It's one of those and you know what? This is a payback game. Don't forget, Brady lost to the Bears on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday night. I was just thinking that.
It was 4th down. You know what I mean? So, you know, Brady's going to fucking look to fly this one up. That's the only thing. I know the Bears got a pretty good D. I know they got a pretty good D.
We all
want that 12.5. That's like,
I know it's weird, but we all want the Bucs to win because we want the Bears to just keep losing.
Correct.
God, do we take the Bucs or the Rams as our key bet?
It's still, I think, one more.
All right. Well, let's get there. I mean, all right.
Here's the Bucs, right?
All right. Yeah. Here's the next one, Jules. Cardinals are at home. They're minus 17 against the Texans.
There's the other one.
Now listen. Cardinals, they got two guys that are going to go after their former teams, right? And JJ Watt and D Hop. So you know they want to fucking go nuts.
And I had the guy on the tip of my tongue. Whoever their offensive coordinator, play caller is, he was out last week with COVID. So like now he's back to the team again. So like if there's ever a time where they're just gonna try to like rain on it and like put Murray back into that MVP echelon and whatnot, it's this week against the Texans at home. So yeah, I mean I think they win by like 40.
40.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I could go either way, guys. The Rams, Bucs, or Cardinals for a key bet. Like, I'll let you guys.
The three you like the most.
What do I like the most? Probably like, probably the Cardinals.
John?
Houston just, they look like shit.
I find it hard not to just bet on the safest bet, which is always Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, Brady was my initial gut. I got to stick with it.
All right, so I'll put the
Tampa's the last one. Tampa's definitely the last one.
All right, I'll put Tampa as the fourth key bet. All right, so the next we got two games left. We got 49ers. They're at home minus 3.5 against the Colts. They haven't played 49ers in a week. They had the bye week, so.
Yeah, they're coming off of a bye. The Colts have looked good. They should have beat, the Ravens. But it's in San Francisco, so with that, I got to go with the home team.
I actually like the Colts. The Colts are
all right.
Good. They're playing okay. So John, it's up to you.
What's the points on this again?
3.5. 49ers are favored. I hate that 3.5 though.
I got a half is so annoying.
Yep, Colts.
All right.
Colts it is. All right, last game. It's the Monday night game. No Russell Wilson, so the Saints are away. They're in Seattle, and the Saints are minus 5.5.
Yeah,
5.5 sucks. We took Buffalo, and look what happened to them.
Right. I kind of like the Seahawks on this one. I don't know why. That's just nothing could be said. It's just a gut. I would go with Seattle just on a gut.
I think we had a good Monday night game this past week. I don't think that happens again. I think the Saints blow them out. So, John, it's up to you, man. Our final game.
Are we really going to put our money on Geno Smith?
I would never do that.
I'm not putting any money on it.
Yeah. Well, we do have We do have some money on this, if you remember.
That's fair.
Yeah, 300. Yeah, to the winner.
I'm gonna go against Seattle here.
And the Saints. It is.
Guys, this
All
is
right.
on the last two picks with me. All right.
All right, so that's it, man. That's it with the picks, man. So hopefully the Giants get a win.
Hopefully that guy maybe fucks up a little bit this week. We catch up to him again.
Let's hope so. We're down like fucking 10.
Yeah, I saw that. I was looking at it like, yo, how'd this guy put up so many damn points, dude? For real? Oh man, this guy's on fire. Like, yo, we'll find out he works down in Atlantic City and shit. All right.
What if we figure out a way to like freeze his account for a couple weeks?
Yeah,
I know, right?
He gets no money ball picks. No.
Yo, speaking of Atlantic City, November 5th, November 6th, if you guys want to come down to Borgata, I'll be there. I'll be fucking putting some bets in.
Nah, there we go. Well, you might get a drunk phone call from me at some point. Mike, throw this in for me. I'll memo you right now. But listen, folks, I think that wraps things up for the podcast for this week. All right. You know where to find us. Hit us up on Twitter at the BBOMYG. All right. If not, you can hit us up individually. Jules NYC1, Mike MFT, Mike Trainer MFT, and of course the NYG Slap Parade with John. All right. We'll be back. Look, who knows what the hell's going to happen? It's been one of those type of years where I'm not suggesting or saying that anything like huge or monumental is going to happen the rest of the way out, but there could be some fun things, and there definitely could be some excitement and fireworks going off if we do get blown out this Sunday. So let's see what happens. Who knows? Maybe they sneak out their second win, and I'll have a different tone when we come back talking next week. But for now, you know where to find us. The Big Blue podcast, Big Blue Offensive Podcast. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
And one more thing before we left, man. Shirts are coming. We got the shirts ordered. They'll be here the first week in November. So if you want a shirt, like, subscribe, send us, email us proof that you like and subscribe, to write a review of the podcast, and we'll send you out a free shirt. So
yeah, and then also too, reach out. Like I said, we have the it's the Big Blue Offensive. What is it at Yahoo? Right? Is the best email to reach
at Gmail and at AOL. So either one. Big Blue Offensive.
Yeah, so the Big Blue Offensive, is it podcast as well in there? Or is it
just Big Blue Offensive at AOL or at Gmail?
At AOL, hit us up, send a question. You listen to the show enough, we'd love to hear from you. So we'll put it on air like we just did this past week, and we'll start getting some mailbag. All right, but that's the Big Blue Offensive at AOL or at Gmail. Okay, we have two. But for now, we'll see you guys later. Hope you have a great week. All right. Let's go Giants, I guess. Fuck it. See you later.
Peace.